singing? On the floor. Yeah, on the floor is possible in terms of grammar, but here the meaning, right, is not correct. So we know from the meaning, but you see the purpose is not clear. Next, this is a short conversation. Hello, Jack. What's up? What's the answer? Oh, we have a speaker here. What's the answer?
Not much.
Not much. Do we notice?
Up to you.
What's up? Not much. Some students do not know. It's very idiomatic, right? Sure, that could be a dialect. Right? Do you know some Thai teachers here? Maybe not. Did you know before? That's the answer to what's up could be not much. Yeah, if you're familiar, with this kind of greeting, right, you would be able to guess. Another one, oh, it's time, and then see you.
Which one English?
Obviously, the answer is, I must go now. It's time, I must go now, or see you. But you look at the distractors, the three distractors. Not at all, you're welcome, don't mention it. These are responses to thank you. Why are they here? Right? And all of them are actually the same. So the student know that, okay, they are the same, right? They will be able to guess the correct answer. Again, the purpose is not clear here. What about this one? Put the words into a correct sentence. Actually, in the real test, the words are given, but they're jumbled. The words are jumbled. Okay, but then there are 4 possible choices. If, in terms of construct validity, right? If you say that this is a communicative test, it might not be, right? Because this is not a communicative test. This is structure, right? Structure, grammar test. Okay, to see if students know the correct word order, right? This one, conversation. Waiter says what? And then Emiko say, yes, I have the pork with vegetables, please. So what should be the answer for number 1? What's your order? What's your order? The situation here is a restaurant, okay? This is supposed to be a good test item, right? You see that all the options are questions, right? And the longer one, right, comes at the end, right? So this is what we normally order, right? The distractors. Okay, the shorter one comes first and the longer one comes later. Okay. And you see that the options 1 and 2 are similar in terms of the word used. The focus word is order. You see, but distractor 1, choice 1 say what is your order, and then choice 2 say are you ready to order, right? What's your answer again? Sorry. 1 or 2. So that means both are possible, right? So you see that the problem is maybe there are 2 possible answers here. Even though the correct answer, the most correct answer should be in terms of communication. Are you ready to order? This is like in the restaurant. Are you ready to order? Oh yes, I have the pork with vegetables, please. What is your order could be a bit tricky because what is your order? Yes. We don't say yes, right? But in real life we can say yes anyway, right? What's your order? Oh yes. Okay. But this could be tricky, so that should be revised. And options 3 and 4, right, concern the word meat. Okay, meat, but they're not correct answer anyway. Okay, so here we're not talking about what kind of meat, but we are asking about an order. This is for blank number 2. What should be the correct answer? So Emiko says, just some water, please. And so, what would you like to drink? That's number 4, right? Other distractors are possible. Number 1 is also possible. Would you like some water? Would you like some water? Just some water, please. Could be a bit of, strange. Would you prefer anything? Not anything here, right? What do you want after the meal? Possible? Just some water? That's very possible. So, when we prepare this kind of test, right, we have to think about the possibilities, particularly, in actual.
All options should be written in the actual question.
Oh, it depends. Yeah, it depends. So if you want to use WH like what here, what, where, when, why, possible, right? Otherwise, you can use like a pair of yes/no question and then another pair with WH question. It's also possible, right? Again, it depends on the purpose, right? What you want to test. But here, if you want to focus on the communication, right? Then we have to think about the meaning first. Okay? And you see, this is the importance of peer review. If you don't have your colleagues read the test before the test, okay, you might run the risk of having invalid test because this is possible, this is possible. Okay. Even though in the book says the examples given in the book would be what would you like to drink? Only one example is given, right? In the book in the material that we teach. But there might be a possibility with number 3. And back to number 1 here, in the book, right, the example given, or in the lesson, right, student learn the expression, are you ready to order? But what is your order is also possible, right here. So you have to think about this carefully. This one, what about dessert? This is a question about dessert. Number 4, would you like to order some dessert? Is that the only correct answer? Okay, right, from all the options here, number 4 is correct. And again, right, a shorter distractor, right, comes first and the longer option comes later. Okay, so this is all for this. I think I have run out of time. So maybe I will just talk quickly through the types of assessing. Okay, maybe let's focus on the production skills, which is more important. Okay. Can you assess speaking here, right? You have students speak, say something. When we assess speaking, of course, different groups of learners, language learners, okay, have different needs, like this people, okay, international travelers, migrants, students, professionals. So you need to identify the objective of the speaking test, okay, that you're preparing for the students, okay. Why are they speaking? What do they speak for? Okay. Because different users have different purposes, okay, when they have to speak. And so what language or what aspects of language do we want to assess? So when you listen to students say something, what do you usually look for first? Accent? Pronunciation? Grammar? Thai Ajahn love finding fault with grammar, detecting students' grammar ability. But here, right, maybe for communicative purposes, right, for communication, maybe we should focus on the content, the meaning, right, and also, the appropriacy, right, appropriateness, of the language use. Okay. And so you should prepare, the rating criteria, right? And think about, the elicitation techniques. How can we elicit the answer from the student if this is an interview? Okay, just like IELTS, okay, IELTS examiners, okay, they need to elicit answers or responses, from the examinees, so that they know more about students' proficiency. So these are the types of information we are at the top. Okay, there are 2 main types, right? Factual or evaluative. And these are the communicative functions. So if the test of speaking, right, is mainly aimed, to measure students' communicative ability, then you should think about the functions that students, we need to use in their communication, in their actual communication. So these are from CFR. Okay, so you should have all this in mind when you ask the students questions. And when we rate students or score students' ability to speak, normally, we use one of the 2 types of scale, right? Holistic and analytic. So you know holistic, right? Like, you listen to the whole thing and then, okay, this is out of 10, this could be like 8 or 7 or 2. But you have any rubrics, you should have rubrics. You should have the clear criteria, okay, for assessing students' ability, okay? So holistic rating scale, are usually fast, more practical, but and maybe more naturalistic. When you listen, so this is kind of 8 or 9 or 10, easier, okay? Natural for us, to score. But there are also some disadvantages. Usually, holistic rating scale, right, provides no useful diagnostic information because it's just a single score. Like out of 10, student receive 8. What does the 8 mean? What is lacking? What does the student have? What skills do they have? And what is lacking in the student's skill? Okay? And it's not always easy to interpret because we don't know what the number means. So sometimes we can use analytic rating scales. Okay? Analytic means, we have different criteria, right? We spell out the criteria more clearly. Okay, what do we want to look at? Okay, like content, organization, pronunciation. So usually analytic rating scale, can provide a diagnostic information. And when you do the test retest, okay, reliability that might be higher. And usually this kind of scale is clearer and more reliable. Okay, and we can also confirm the construct validity. Okay, and this is useful in terms of guiding learners for their future improvement. But the main disadvantages are this kind of rating is time-consuming. Okay, you have to think a lot, right? You have to spend more time thinking about the student's ability in terms of different criteria, and may overburden raters. เพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเราแยกออกมาเป็นประเด็นนี้อาจจะคิดยากหน่อยนึงคิดไม่ทันสุดท้ายก็ holistic อยู่ดีใช่ไหมครับเพราะว่าเราคิดแยกคิดยาก Maybe one more, just one more. Writing. You have writing test here as well. Business English, right? Writing test is very important. So what do students have to write in their tests, for example, here? In business English classes, students write letters, emails, essays for business writing. The purpose of writing an essay is to business writing, right? We're talking about Gen Ed or business writing. Okay, but there are essays in business. But what is it? It depends on the course objectives as well, right? The program is business English, but if the course is academic writing, maybe essays would be suitable. So think about the format, right? The task that you want a student to complete. Okay, so the task should match the objectives, right? And their future applicability. So this is a point of assessing writing. Okay, we just want to select students, right? Accept them into our program. Or sometimes we have to certify some people. We just want to provide educational funding, like in terms of scholarships. Okay, so we use writing, right, to judge, to diagnose students' strengths and weaknesses, and to decide what material, right, to present next or what to revise. Okay, so when you have students write something, then we can tell what students need, and so we can prepare for the material appropriately. Motivation, okay, to encourage students to learn harder, right? Because when students have to write, they will have to put more effort, and many students have writing anxiety. Okay, do we also have writing anxiety? Teachers also have writing anxiety, right? They don't want to write, they fear writing. They have a strong fear of writing. Why? Because when we write, we think about grammar. Okay, so you don't want to make mistakes make grammatical errors, right? Students also feel the same, but actually we don't have to worry. When we write, when we speak, we make errors anyway. นี่ก็ผิดใช่ไหมฮะเขียนภาษาคำก็ผิดละเพราะฉะนั้นก็ไม่ต้องกลัว particularly when we do the speaking, right? When you speak, we don't worry much about grammar, right? นักเรียนนะฮะนักศึกษาฟังคือไม่ต้องกลัวกันมากเพราะเราพูดยังไงก็ผิดแน่นอนเพราะฉะนั้นต้องพูดเน้นการสื่อสารด้วยเถอะว่าเราจะสื่ออะไรให้ได้อันนั้นเป็นหัวใจสำคัญมากThis is something the same, right? Reliability. Validity is quite the same as well. Face and content validity. Okay. Let's skip this because the concept is the same. But now, when we talk about scoring, again, there's two types of scoring for writing: holistic and analytic. Okay. So, what type of scoring do you use here for writing? Holistic or analytic? Like out of 10 again, you just assign 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, right? One score, one single score. And you know what each means? For this essay, for this letter, for this email, the full score, the highest score is 10, right? Would it be an 8? Would it be a 9? Would it be a 6, a 5? Why? How? Okay. So holistic scoring means assessor assesses the text generally, right? Without focusing on 2 or 3 specific aspects. Okay, so that you can just read quickly and then you can assign a score. Okay. So this type of approach, right, is supposed to respond to the writing positively. Okay, what student can perform. Okay. Rather than negatively focusing on the things that the writer has failed to do, right? So you see, okay, the whole piece of writing and this, you say this is a 5. This is a 9, and so we'll focus on what the student can do. Advantages for holistic scoring, quick and easy, yes, because there are just a few categories for the teacher to choose from. In mind, usually you have some criteria in mind with the holistic scoring scale, right? What do you have in mind? Grammar, 2 out of 10. That's the mindset that you have. I'm sure that students will have 2 for sure from your experience here. Most students have received 2, so next time they should receive 2 as well, right? So, but maybe when you do the holistic scoring, we have just a few aspects, right, to keep in mind, like content, organization, grammar, for example. We still keep grammar, right, in writing. Some types of writing is sometimes the writing, are important, so we should also focus on grammar there, right? But there are disadvantages, for holistic scoring, okay? Because holistic scoring cannot provide a teacher with diagnostic information. Again, right? We do not know what the students should do next, and the holistic approach, right, will produce just a single score, which sometimes is not meaningful, right? We don't know what it means. And a single score can be difficult to interpret, right? But what about analytic scoring? So then we usually separate the aspects into something like organization, idea spelling, right? And then we grade them separately. So this is more useful, right? When we want to provide feedback, okay, what is lacking, right, in the students' skills, okay? Of course, when we use analytic scoring scale, there are more details that we can think about. But there are also disadvantages, right? The big disadvantage is that each of the scale may not be used separately, even though they should be. For example, if the assessor gives a student a very high mark for idea scale, ideas content, this may influence the rest of the marks they award the student on the other scales anyway, is that right? So then we resort to holistic, right? Because for each aspect that we look at, if the idea is good, then grammar would naturally be good, organization would be good, you love the idea the student writes, so everything else would be good. Okay, so that would be an influence, okay? Descriptor for each scale may be difficult to use, like adequate organization. So when you have organization, เช่นอาจจะตั้งขึ้นมาด้านหนึ่งว่าเป็นการเรียบเรียงความคิดแล้วก็เซตมาว่าเรียบเรียงความคิดมีหลายระดับ Set what adequate. What does adequate mean? So it's still vague and unclear anyway. right? So maybe again we go back to holistic scoring.
This you can be
Yes.
used up for making
Both? You mean using both scales? Yeah, possible, but it would be a waste of time. Anyway, right? So I think maybe you choose either holistic or analytic, but try to use two raters. For speaking and writing, if possible, use at least two scorers. That would be very helpful. Because the scales, may be problematic sometimes, right? But if you do the inter-rater reliability, that would be more useful. So all of this, are what we use in our universities, like in Thammasat and Juฬา. Okay, and we are also using this, in our TU-Get test. Okay, you can also find the file, right, showing the rubrics that we have, for speaking and writing assessment for our computer-based TU-Get. So that, when you prepare, right, the criteria to assess students' ability, particularly the performance or productive skills, right, make sure that, you have the clear criteria. So I think I should finish my talk here. This may not be the full workshop, because the full workshop would include your making some tests, and we can do some feedback, right, constructive feedback, right, and comments that would be even more useful, so that maybe for next time. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Supok Sirin, the Director of Language Institute, Thammasat University, and President of Thailand TESOL for the first session. Would you like to ask the questions about this lecture? มีคำถามเพิ่มเติมไหมครับ I would like to ask some questions. How many choice should be in the multiple choice test? It should be 4 or 5.
I think 4 is enough, right? Because we will be able to discriminate students. I mean, weak and strong students, right? And when we have 4 choices, then right,
5 is too many, right?
too confusing, both to the test preparers and test takers. If the results are the same, I mean, using 4 choices and 5 choices, if the result is the same, why should we waste the time of preparing too many choices, and why do we have to waste time reading more choices, right? If the results are the same, and if we can know, right, about the students' proficiency, knowledge, whatever, right, using 4 choices good enough, then we don't have to use 5 choices.
So it can be 4.
But not 3. At this level, not 3, right?
And another question. I'm wondering, can we make the test for writing course the multiple choice? Can we make?
Okay, sometimes we can make a claim, or we can make a claim, like in some tests, right? This is writing, for example, but then the test in the multiple choice type is usually what we call grammar and structure test, because we do not really measure or assess students' ability to perform in terms of writing, right? So if you, for example, you provide a paragraph for the students, and then they complete the paragraph choosing from the options. Again, it will be
Can be multiple choice.
possible, but it may not really tell us about the student ability to write, because they may not write that way in actual writing.
Okay. Do you have some more questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
ใครทำใครครอบครอง
Take the case of university test
ใช้แล้วคุยกับรองสุภตา
last month
เขา
we
จะ
organized
ส่งงบประมาณ
UU test
คือ
and we found out
ก็
that
คือเขาจะให้
no
ส่ง
one has the
แต่ใน
criteria
ปฏิ
so
ทินเขาให้
my
ส่ง
question is
19
should we lower the standard or what should we do so that
ส่ง
we
ให้เดี๋ยวผมส่งข้อความให้
Okay, the test is
some test take your
แต่จะ
pass
ส่ง
the
งบ
test
งบประมาณ
what's the purpose of a test? Exit exam or
and it's like TU get
ปีชาย
yeah this is the test of the university because you want to measure students general English proficiency
yes, so like B1, B2.
yeah
Purpose.
the what is it the criteria is
ผมส่งเข้าเฟซ
B1 and B2 yeah but we found out that no one has the test so
And the test is multiple choice test.
yes not writing
Writing.
there are many yes there yeah this test is designed to measure different and English skill including listening reading and writing but no speaking
And you know, when you say that all students fail the test, what is the score? What is the average? What's it mean?
60%.
Fail? 60%?
No. 60% is
What's the passing score?
Yeah, the passing. The what is it? The cutoff point.
But what does it mean?
Yeah, but no one passed the test.
Oh.
No one reached 60%. So should we lower the standard or what should
And
we do?
have you already discussed, you know, the test itself?
Yes, we did.
How effective is the test? How valid, reliable?
Yeah, we did. We try very hard to what is it? We try to address the concept of validity and reliability. But
still,
I think
maybe more training. Maybe you need to give more training.
Yeah,
to
I
students,
agree
right?
with you. Yes,
Teach them
maybe.
more. Practice. Yeah, give them more.
So we
practice.
should keep the standard, right?
But this is all up to you, right? If you want to lower, right, the passing score maybe to 50, and if that's suitable for your students in terms of that language background, right, that would be okay.